Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to understand something profound. The mind you carry is not just a part of you, it is the most extraordinary force in the universe. Within your thoughts, your beliefs and your focus lies the power to shape your life, to bend reality, and to rise above every obstacle. Too often we underestimate the mind. We think that circumstances, luck, or the people around us determine our destiny. But the truth is far more empowering. Your mind determines your
reality.
Every limitation you see, every fear that holds you back, every "I can't" you whisper to yourself exists only because your mind allows it to exist, and just as easily, your mind can transform it all. Imagine your thoughts as seeds. Plant seeds of doubt, and you will harvest struggle. Plant seeds of clarity, courage, and vision, and you will harvest opportunities, growth, and triumph. The mind is a gardener, and every thought is an action waiting to bloom. You are never powerless, only unaware of your own potential. The key lies in mastery. When you master your mind, you master your energy. When you master your energy, you master your life. Every challenge you face becomes a lesson. Every obstacle becomes a step forward. Every setback becomes fuel for your journey. The mind that believes it can achieve will find the path. The mind that fears failure will never leave the shore. So today, I ask you to make a choice. Do not allow your thoughts to be passive spectators in the story of your life. Do not let fear, doubt, or hesitation dictate your actions. Harness your mind, focus your energy, choose your beliefs wisely. Every moment you spend thinking small is a moment lost from your greatness. Rise, decide, act. Let the power of your mind guide your actions and transform your reality. Your life is not waiting for luck, it is waiting for your command. Step forward now and claim the extraordinary future that only your mind can create. Too often we underestimate the mind. We look outward for answers, searching for solutions in circumstances, in the approval of others, or in some imagined fate that seems to control our lives. We believe that our situation, our surroundings, or the people we encounter are the ultimate determinants of what we can or cannot achieve. And yet the truth is far more empowering, far more liberating. It is the mind that determines your reality. Every experience you have, every challenge you encounter,
every joy and every hardship is filtered through the lens of your mind. Your mind interprets the world, assigns meaning, and shapes your perception of what is possible. When your mind is clouded with fear, doubt, or negativity, the world appears as a maze of obstacles. When your mind is focused, disciplined, and open to possibility, opportunities emerge where none seem to exist. The distinction is not in the circumstances but in how the mind chooses to respond to them.
Not a passive instrument. It is a dynamic force capable of creating and transforming. Consider the thoughts you allow yourself to dwell on each day. Every thought is like a spark. Left unchecked, it can ignite anxiety, frustration, or despair. But if cultivated consciously, that same spark can illuminate clarity, inspiration, and courage. The mind shapes habits, determines focus, and controls the energy we bring to each moment. It governs how we interpret failure, whether it is a signal to
retreat or a lesson to learn. It influences how we perceive success, whether we see it as fleeting luck or the result of persistent effort and vision. Even the smallest shift in perception within the mind can ripple outward, altering decisions, interactions, and ultimately the trajectory of life itself. Yet most people surrender their power without realizing it. They allow past experiences, societal expectations, or self-limiting beliefs to dictate the boundaries of what they attempt.
They listen to the whispers of, "I am not enough," or "I cannot do this," as if these thoughts were immutable truths. But these are not truths. They are constructs of the mind that can be reshaped. The human mind is not confined by history, biology, or circumstance. It is malleable, adaptable, and capable of extraordinary transformation when guided with intention. The first step in harnessing this power is awareness, recognizing that thoughts are not mere reactions to reality, but
creators of it. When you begin to notice the patterns of your mind, the habitual fears and doubts, you gain the ability to redirect them. You can choose to nurture thoughts that expand your potential rather than contract it. When you realize that your mind determines your experience, every situation becomes a reflection of your inner state. The challenges you face are not barriers meant to stop you. They are mirrors revealing the beliefs and attitudes that govern your actions. Your mind,
when trained and directed, can turn adversity into insight, limitations into lessons, and uncertainty into clarity. It is not circumstances that hold the greatest power over your life. It is your response, guided by your mind, that shapes the world around you. Understanding this is the beginning of freedom, the realization that within you lies the ultimate architect of your destiny. Imagine your thoughts as seeds. Every idea, belief, and emotion you entertain is like a small kernel with the
potential to grow into something immense. Yet most people do not realize that the type of seed they plant in their mind will determine the kind of life they cultivate. When seeds of doubt are sown, they grow into barriers that restrict vision, limit ambition, and create invisible walls that confine potential. A single negative thought, repeated over time, can shape an entire worldview, making challenges appear insurmountable, opportunities invisible, and success something that happens to others,
but never to oneself. On the other hand, when seeds of clarity, courage, and resilience are planted and nurtured, they grow into habits, patterns, and actions that open doors and create momentum toward meaningful achievements. Every thought is a decision, and every decision shapes the inner landscape of your mind. The process of cultivating your mental seeds requires attention and care. It is not enough to passively hope that positivity will appear. The mind requires discipline, intention,
and repeated focus. When you consistently feed your mind with constructive ideas, with visions of what is possible rather than what is limiting, you begin to create an internal environment where growth is natural. Fear is not eradicated in this process, but it becomes a guide rather than a jailer. Doubt no longer paralyzes. It becomes a signal to examine, adjust, and move forward with strategy. Each thought you consciously choose is like sunlight for a seed, nourishing potential and guiding
it toward manifestation. Without that focus, even the strongest potential can wither, lost to distraction, negative influence, or a lack of belief. The power of your thoughts lies not only in shaping perception, but in driving action. Your mind is the precursor to every decision, every step, and every achievement. A mind trained to cultivate positive seeds directs behavior toward solutions, rather than problems, toward action, rather than hesitation, toward growth, rather than stagnation.
Those who succeed are not inherently luckier or more talented. They are the ones who consciously sow seeds that align with their vision, consistently nurturing them until they bear fruit. Conversely, those who feel trapped or unfulfilled often fail to recognize the seeds they have allowed to dominate their thinking. The mind that focuses on scarcity will see scarcity everywhere. The mind that focuses on abundance will uncover opportunities where others see obstacles. Furthermore, the seeds
of your thoughts influence not only your external life, but your internal experience. Joy, peace, confidence, and resilience are not random gifts. They are the result of carefully tended mental gardens. Every act of self-awareness, every moment spent choosing thoughts deliberately, strengthens the mind's capacity to create favorable outcomes. The more intentional the cultivation, the more resilient the mind becomes when faced with difficulty. Just as a garden must be maintained consistently,
your mental landscape requires daily attention, observation, and adjustment. Neglect allows weeds, negative patterns, and limiting beliefs to take root, while mindful care ensures that the seeds of potential grow into towering realities. The key lies in mastery. Mastery is not a distant destination reserved for the gifted few. It is a practice, a mindset, and a daily commitment to aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Most people believe that success is something that happens to them,
that it is a product of circumstance or chance. But mastery reveals a deeper truth. The real power is within, and it manifests through disciplined focus, persistent effort, and unwavering self-awareness. To master your mind is to understand that it is both the source of your limitations and the instrument of your freedom. It is to recognize that every fear, every hesitation, and every self-imposed boundary can be transformed when approached with intention and clarity. When mastery begins to take
root, the chaos of life no longer dictates your direction. Instead, you become the navigator, consciously choosing the course, adjusting for obstacles, and steering toward your purpose with precision. Mastery demands awareness of the patterns that govern your thoughts and emotions. It is not enough to simply want change. You must observe your internal habits with the same meticulous care a sculptor gives to raw stone. Which thoughts dominate your mind when challenges arise? Which beliefs
quietly shape your decisions? Which fears silently guide your actions? The answers to these questions reveal the contours of your current mastery and indicate the areas where attention and discipline are required. The mind is naturally prone to distraction, to falling into old routines and familiar comfort zones, but mastery is the art of reclaiming control, of noticing the drift before it determines your path. It is in this vigilant awareness that transformation begins, because you cannot change
that you cannot see. Energy is another dimension of mastery. Every thought carries energy. Every emotion generates a current that influences behavior. A mind mastered is a mind that channels energy with precision, directing focus toward what truly matters and away from what merely consumes attention. It is the difference between scattering effort and consolidating it, between reacting impulsively and responding intentionally. When your mind is aligned with your purpose, actions flow with force and clarity. Obstacles are no longer paralyzing but become challenges that sharpen skill, cultivate resilience, and reveal hidden resources. The energy of a mastered mind radiates outward, influencing not only personal outcomes but the people and environment around it. Influence, progress, and achievement are natural byproducts of this alignment. Mastery is also about perspective. A mastered mind views setbacks as opportunities, mistakes as teachers, and uncertainty as a space of potential, rather than threat. The mind that resists mastery interprets failure as defeat, limitation as inevitability, and change as risk. But mastery cultivates the ability to see beyond immediate circumstances, to recognize that growth often comes disguised as difficulty, and that perseverance is the bridge between vision and reality. It is the repeated practice of self-discipline, emotional regulation, and strategic focus that strengthens this perspective, turning fleeting inspiration into consistent momentum. Through mastery, the mind becomes both shield and compass, protecting against doubt, while guiding toward purpose with unwavering resolve. So today I ask you to make a choice. Every moment of life presents a crossroads, and the direction you take is determined not by circumstance, but by the decisions of your mind. To choose is to assert control over your existence, to recognize that passivity is the enemy of growth. Many drift through life, allowing fear, habit, and external pressures to dictate their path. They defer to comfort zones, postpone action, and rationalize inaction with excuses that sound convincing but are fundamentally self-limiting. The choice to act, however, is transformative. It signals to your mind and your spirit that you are the author of your own life, that you will no longer wait for external validation, perfect conditions, or permission to pursue your purpose. Choosing is the first act of empowerment, and every choice compounds to shape the life you experience. The power of choice is magnified when combined with clarity. To choose effectively, you must understand not only what you desire but also why you desire it. Without clarity, decisions become reactive, based on fleeting emotions or the influence of others. With clarity, choices are deliberate, aligned with your deepest values and highest vision. Each decision becomes a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your life, every action a manifestation of intention. The mind, once trained to operate with such awareness, begins to recognize opportunities that were invisible before. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable are reframed as stepping stones. The doubts that paralyzed action become signals for strategic adjustment. Choosing is not merely about deciding between options, it is about taking ownership of the path forward, committing to action and refusing to settle for mediocrity. Choice also requires courage. To act is to step into uncertainty, to risk failure, criticism, and discomfort. Most people shrink from this because they mistake safety for security. They fear mistakes, fear rejection, fear the unknown. Yet courage is not the absence of fear, it is the ability to act despite fear. Every great achievement begins with such a leap, a conscious choice to prioritize growth over comfort, purpose over hesitation. Courage transforms hesitation into momentum, doubt into opportunity, and limitation into possibility. When the mind embraces courage as a guiding principle, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And obstacles are no longer barriers but invitations to elevate and evolve. Action is inseparable from choice. To choose without action is to create illusion rather than reality. The mind can envision, plan, and strategize endlessly, but without movement, potential remains dormant. Each step taken, no matter how small, is a declaration that you are in control, that your life is no longer subject to passive drift. The momentum
is generated by decisive action compounds, creating energy, clarity, and confidence that propel further choices and actions. Life responds to movement, aligning circumstances with intention, opening doors that remained closed to inaction. The mind recognizes the power of engagement, and through this recognition, it strengthens, sharpens, and expands its capacity to create. Choosing and acting are therefore inseparable pillars of mastery. Every decision, every deliberate step, every commitment to
purpose reinforces the mind's ability to shape reality. To live fully is to engage in this process continuously, to refuse to surrender authority over your own life, and to move with resolve toward the vision you hold. The capacity to choose, combined with the courage to act, is the force that transforms thought into reality, vision into achievement, and potential into greatness. Rise, decide, act. Claimed. Too often, people wait for permission from the world, for the right moment, or for external signals to indicate that now is the time. But life does not pause for certainty, and opportunity does not linger for hesitation. The act of rising is the first declaration that you will no longer be bound by circumstance or limited by fear. It is the conscious refusal to remain passive, the internal declaration that your potential cannot be postponed. Rising is not merely a physical act, it is a mental and spiritual awakening. It signals to your mind that you are prepared to take responsibility, to step into action, and to claim the energy within you that has always been capable of greatness. Every great journey begins with this internal decision to stand, to refuse stagnation, and to confront the reality of possibility head-on. To rise is to confront inertia, both within and without. Inertia whispers that the familiar is safer, that the comfort of routine is preferable to the uncertainty of change, yet rising requires the courage to challenge this instinct, to disrupt patterns that no longer serve growth, and to embrace discomfort as a necessary companion on the path of transformation. Each act of rising strengthens resilience, cultivates confidence, and builds momentum. The mind begins to recognize its own capacity for action and begins to rewire itself, moving from a state of reaction to a state of proactive creation. Rising becomes a habit, a practice, and a declaration of the mind's supremacy over circumstance. Decision amplifies the power of rising. To decide is to transform intention into commitment. Every moment spent in indecision is energy wasted, potential dormant. Decision is a conscious alignment of thought and action, a recognition that clarity and courage must meet in order to produce real change. When the mind is committed, the path forward becomes illuminated. Uncertainty loses its grip, obstacles are reframed as opportunities, and the horizon expands with possibility. Decision is a contract with oneself, a promise that effort will follow insight, and that hesitation will no longer dictate the pace of progress. It is the mental engine that converts vision into action, belief into accomplishment, and dreams into tangible results. Action is the force that carries decision into reality. Thoughts without motion are empty. Ideas without implementation are shadows. To act is to translate potential into manifestation, to move from contemplation to creation, and to prove to yourself that the mind's power is not theoretical but tangible. Action generates energy, feedback, and clarity, forming a cycle in which the mind grows stronger, sharper, and more capable with every effort. Even small, consistent actions accumulate into momentum that reshapes reality, demonstrating that the smallest choices, when aligned with purpose, can yield monumental results. Rising, deciding, and acting form a triad of empowerment. The mind recognizes its own authority when engaged fully in this process, and life begins to respond to intention rather than drift according to circumstance. Through this triad, potential is activated, vision is realized, and the extraordinary becomes accessible. Every day presents the opportunity to engage with these principles, to move from passivity to mastery, and to embrace the power within that has always existed but has waited patiently for acknowledgement and action. Your life is not waiting for luck, it is waiting for your command. Too many people drift through their days believing that outcomes are determined by forces outside their influence, that progress comes only when fortune smiles, or that success belongs to those who were somehow chosen. But life does not reward the passive. It responds to direction, intention, and deliberate focus. Luck may appear from time to time, but relying on luck is like waiting for the wind to carry you to your destination without ever setting your sails. Commanding your life means stepping into the role of creator rather than spectator, giving clear direction to your mind, your actions, and your energy. It means no longer asking life for permission, but instructing it through your consistency, clarity, and commitment. Every day is an opportunity to shape your path, not through chance but through conscious intent and purposeful effort. Command is not about force or rigidity, it is about alignment. It begins with understanding what you truly want, not what others expect from you, not what fear pushes you toward, but what your inner purpose calls you to create. When your desires, decisions, and actions are aligned, life begins to reveal a different rhythm. Patterns form, opportunities appear, momentum builds. What once seemed chaotic becomes navigable, and what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Command brings order to uncertainty, direction to potential, and strength to vision. It is the internal decision to live intentionally rather than reactively, to move with purpose rather than drift without direction. Life responds to clarity. When your mind is scattered, your actions become scattered, and the results you produce follow the same pattern. But when you give clear instruction, when you decide what you will pursue, what you will commit to, and what you will no longer tolerate, energy aligns, focus sharpens, the noise quiets. You begin to notice that the world reflects your internal state. A disciplined mind sees paths where others see walls, while an unfocused mind sees only obstacles even when opportunities are present. Commanding your life means mastering your internal landscape so the external world becomes more navigable, more cooperative, and more responsive. Taking command also requires responsibility. It means acknowledging that your habits shape your outcomes, your mindset influences your progress, and your actions determine your future. Responsibility is not a burden, it is liberation. It frees you from waiting, wishing, and complaining, and places power back into your hands. Every decision you make, how you think, how you speak, how you act, gives your life direction. The more intentional these decisions become, the more predictable and meaningful your results grow. Responsibility gives rise to confidence because confidence is built not from luck but from witnessing your own ability to influence your path. To command your life is to step into partnership with your own potential. It is to tell your mind where to go instead of letting it wander. It is to shape your reality through consistent focus rather than hoping the world will shape itself for you. Every moment is an invitation to lead yourself, to direct your thoughts, to choose your actions, and to influence your destiny with awareness, strength, and deliberate intention.